The great work being done by champions like Patricia Miranda can leave a lasting impact on children. Our next guests are from the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. It's part of the Smithsonian Institute, and it has already drawn 2.5 million visitors in just its first year. The museum has developed a unique education outreach program for children that works with parents, teachers, and youngsters to introduce a new approach to addressing race by recognizing and celebrating diversity in American society. Joining us today from the museum are Anna Hindley and Shannon Crowner, whose outreach work in this area is aimed at some of our youngest students. Ladies, thank you and welcome to both of you for being here. Anna, let me start with you. What's the new approach to teaching children about race?
So, for a long time, people have really felt in the early childhood world that by talking about race, that children then might begin to see race, which might lead to racism and perpetuate ideas that people don't want to perpetuate. But actually, children are recognizing differences. They observe everything around them.
Really at an early age, don't they?
At a very early age. Actually, starting at 6 months, children are already beginning to recognize racial difference.
Because I noticed it with my own child.
Yes. If you've been around young children, you know that they are seeing difference. And so we need to honor them as learners and have productive and meaningful conversations with them.
So why did the museum decide that it was important to create this education outreach program?
So part of the museum's mission is to be a place of healing and reconciliation. And as the lead of the Early Childhood Initiative, I really thought about the words of Frederick Douglass, who said it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And so I took that to heart and really thought about what we could do in the museum to do exactly that. And so that's really where this work came out of.
And who are you targeting with this?
So we are very child-centered, thinking about the child, but there's a tribe around every child. So it's really grown to think about the parents, the educators, the adults in the child's life, because we can create meaningful programs at the museum for children, but we're finding really it's the adults that are looking for support on how to do this.
And Shannon, you actually go out into the field. It's one thing in the museum, but then you're out in the field working with directly with students.
Yes.
And what's the approach that they're using to work with students?
So we have a lesson, and I came out of the classroom, and as an educator, I'm able to scaffold a lesson. We normally work with children from ages preschool to second grade, so they're about 3 and 4 years old to about 7 and 8. So we like to talk about the similarities in the children, especially at a younger age, but also the differences as well, because especially at 3 and 4, they're really starting to learn about self and others. So that's a really good age to catch them and to help teach them about positive self-identity and also about how we treat others with kindness and fairness.
And so what are you doing? What are some of these methods that you're actually using to teach children this new concept? Shannon? Or both of you? Come on, jump in, ladies.
So it goes back to knowing what's happening developmentally with the child. And so for a 3-year-old, it is about uplifting the joy in human diversity, but also finding connections that we have similarities. But then as the child gets older, they're recognizing the injustice and the unfairness in our culture. And so we want them to be able to recognize how they can stand up for themselves and for others when they see unfair treatment happening, so especially related to identity.
And what does that look like? How does you saying children stand up for themselves? So what are you telling children to say? What are you saying to telling them to do?
Right, so one of our main focuses is kind of bullying. So it's about not only standing up for yourself, but also helping others. We talk about how you can help others if you see someone being picked on or being left out, how you can stand up and say, no, that's not right, and help your friends out or stand up for yourself.
We also have a wonderful collection of objects and stories. We can go back to history and use the narrative and the stories from the past to help children concretely understand some of these really abstract ideas.
And I wonder, how do you work with teachers on this? Teachers who may be old school, forgive the pun, and thinking that, oh, this is not something we're supposed to be talking about. So what do you do?
Yes, we are very thoughtful in the way we build our programs. We start with relationship building because this, when it gets down to it, is about people.
Relationship building with the teachers or the children?
Both.
First with, okay.
Yeah, but when we're training teachers, we do container building. So we make sure that they feel like they have relationships with us and each other before we really get into some of the heavy stuff. But it starts as an adult. You have to have time to reflect on your own identity and some of your racial journey.
Sure. And how are children responding to this? And how are parents and teachers responding to it?
Oh, they're so excited. One of our main lessons is about how we can help others and how we can stand up for others. And they are very encouraged. We ask them, how can you help others at school? How can you help at home? How can you help save the earth?
What do they tell you?
Oh, I help my mommy at home, or we have jobs at school. I get to be the line leader, or we can pick up trash outside. And now you can they're like, smoking is bad. We shouldn't smoke. That hurts the environment. So they're really excited and they come up with brilliant ideas.
What it does, the children can feel powerless in their life. They have adults making decisions for them all the time.
Right.
We help to empower and have them see themselves as agents of change, and that they have a choice. And that they have a choice to stand up for themselves and others.
Yes.
For the adults, we're really finding that they're hungry for resources and support. So it's been, because we work both with teachers and parents, that it's, of course, talking about such personal subjects, people can be emotional in the response, but overall, it's really been a positive response.
And one of the things you're doing is you're expanding this, because this is certainly a topic that everybody needs to know right now.
Yes.
And people are welcoming of this when you're sending it out there for them to participate in. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Listen, I want to thank so much, thank both of you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for
As I
having
said,
us.
this is a wonderful topic to share with our children, teachers, and our parents, that's for sure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.